On the day that it happened, I remember being in the office at work when I got the phone call. I couldn't understand why something like that had happened to us, or begin to try and find out the truth to why it did. But it was my job, and they did the best I could.
1 p.m, 7th of December, 3 years ago.
People's lives forever.
On the day that it happened, I was about to go on stage at Ronnie Scott's with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra. Then I got a call from my mother.
On the day that it happened, I was getting ready to move to a new place. I was already worried about leaving behind friends and family, and the events of that day made it even more daunting.
On the day that it happened, I was having the worst day in the world. A call from my mum made me realise that I had no right to complain.
3 p.m, 7th of December, 3 years ago.
On the day that it happened, I actually saw him. He came into the shop, bought the same old sausage and biscuits, and then by lunch break, he was gone.
On the day that it happened, there was a chill in the air. Nothing seemed untoward. All the regular customers, apart from this one woman, she was quiet, alone, not your usual tourist type.
On the day that it happened, I sat in drama, listening, but not intently enough to have repeated his ramblings. And then my attention changed to the man on the screen, who told me of the mystery that I'd later retell to the rest of the class.
On the day that it happened, I prayed to God that it was just round the corner, that it wasn't actually missing, that it was just going to come back, return.
10 a.m, 7th of December, 3 years later.
The day that it happened, I heard it on the radio. I had a sudden feeling of a chill, and then I knew I had to pick my little sister up as soon as I could.
On the day that it happened, we finished school early. Mum came and picked me up. We drove through the village. There were cars and flashing lights everywhere.
On the day that it happened, I remember a sense of comfort. Comfort at the fact of my own reality. Is that weird? When something bad happens, I take solace in my mediocrity. I knew I couldn't offer anything. I knew there was nothing I could do. But I knew the one thing I could do was take appreciation of the fragility of life.
But as soon as the police started appealing, I knew something was wrong. That poor little boy, I had to volunteer and join the search, but by nightfall we'd found nothing.
10 a.m, 7th of September. 3 years later.
On the day that it happened, Rose, his sister, was at my house. We were playing in the front room when his mother ran through the door, tears streaming down her face. It's Edward.
On the day that it happened, I lost all sense of trust. The fact that there's someone still out there, unpunished, with the knowledge of what they've done, not caring about the damage that they've done to the family, the community, and our town.
On the day that it happened, all those bad memories came back to haunt me. He disappeared. I knew how that felt, and so did she. My mother and I, we cried, not only for him and his family, but also for ourselves, for our own loss. The only difference, Edward hadn't had a choice.
On the day that it happened, I was there. Instead of being a place of love and comfort and security, it turned into a place of suspicion and loss and heartache.
7th of September. From that day onwards.
What is it?
It doesn't matter.
On the day that it happened, it didn't seem as tragic as it feels now. People searched, remembered, recounted, and hoped. I look around now and I wonder how much of that they've let go. Whether they should have stopped searching. The thing is, I can't forget. And neither can they.